Hello and welcome to part 2 of a 5-part project for creating a landing page. My name is Will Brooks and my mission is to make coding fun and easy to learn. In part 1 of our project, we created a fixed responsive header. In today's video, we will create a call to action section. We will use the input tag to create an email box. We will make and style a call to action button. We will use flex properties to center our title. Finally, we will create a container to hold the sections of our header. We will then learn to center the container using the margin element. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do, and it's not needed, but I'm going to do a comment out, which is on the Mac is command /, and I'm going to call it CTA, which is call to action, title, and form. All right, because I want to separate. Remember, we have header right there on line 11, and now we have CTA, title, and form. Okay, then a couple more spaces there. So now we're going to start with section. And I want to show you what this is going to look like. So it's going to be our call to action section. And in the section, we're going to have two separate groups. The first one is going to be, let's make a div. And then the second one, let's go under the div. And we're going to have a form, an email form. Okay, and let's do that. So the section is going to be the total group. And then we have two individual groups inside the div, and then we have the form, which is the email. Okay, so now in this div, we're going to have an H2. And in the H2, it's going to say learn to code for free. Learn to code for free. And then after that, we're going to have a P tag. And in the P tag, it's going to be our mission is to make coding fun and easy to learn. Now, that is our mission. And if that is our mission, and if you're enjoying this video and learning something, please hit that like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. But let's take a look at our browser. Now, look at that. It's not in our browser. Now, why is that? Well, that's because, remember, in our CSS, we made a fixed header. Remember that? Let's go all the way back up here. In the header, we made it position fixed. So that means that all of this that we're doing here in this section is behind the header. Okay, because the header is right here and it's behind the header. So that means we need to add a class and put a margin. We need to bring everything down because it's fixed. And in order to do that, we need to create margin top. So I normally want to do each section first with HTML, but we need to do that one thing with CSS. So let's go into our section here. And in our section, we're going to create a class. We're going to call it CTA, which is call to action. Okay, we created that right there in the class, in the section. Now let's go to our CSS. And we're going to put .cta and then curly brackets. And we're going to do margin top. That means we want the top margin, we want it to grow it so that it pushes everything down. So margin top, and we're going to do 100 pixels. And there you go. You can see on the right side of the browser here, learn to code for free. Our mission is to make coding fun and easy to learn. Perfect, it worked. So now let's go back. That's all I want to do there because I want to finish with this section first. And let's continue with putting the HTML. Next, we need to go into our form and create our email holder and our button. So we are going to go input. It's called input, the tag, and then we're going to hit a space. And once more, another space. And we need to do, input needs, I call it TIN, I remember it, the acronym TIN. So type is going to be email. And then ID is going to be email as well. And then name is going to be email as well. So let's take a look at that. So we have input, type equals email, ID equals email, and name equals email. Now, you can see on the right side, we do have right here, we have a rectangle right there. That is where the email is going to go. Now, we want to put it's called a placeholder. And what the placeholder does is it adds text inside that rectangular box. So we're going to say enter your email here. And you can see it says enter your email here. That's what we wanted to do. And the last thing we want to do here is put required. We want to make this required. If they go in there, they have to enter their email there. They can't just submit the form. It has to be there in order to submit the form. Now, in order to submit the form, we need a button. But first, we have an open here, open input. Now we need to close it right here. So we're going to close this right here. Okay, with a tag right there like that. And this is, you don't need a closing tag for this. An input is, it kind of works like images, the IMG as well. Doesn't need an opening and closing tag. And then now let's go and add a button. So let's space and button. And then again for button, we need type. Add the type, and it's going to be submit because there's a few different buttons you can do. But we're going to use submit on this one. And then let's just close that there. And then we want to say inside the button, we want to say, let's get started. So let's get started inside our button. All right. And then we should be good. And then that should be good there. Great. So there's our button right there. Let's open this up. And that's all we need to do here for HTML. Learn to code for free. Our mission is to make coding fun and easy to learn. And if that's true, please hit that like button and subscribe. And then enter your email here and let's get started. So now we need to add CSS to this to make it look much better. So let's go into CSS. And the first thing we're going to style is the whole section. Remember that the whole section encompasses the H2, the P tag, the email and input, and then the button. So we've already got margin 100 pixels, margin top 100 pixels down. The next thing we want to do is align that in the center. So we use the text, align, and then center. That'll take everything into the middle. See that right there? Perfect. That's what we want. And then last thing we want to do here is we want to add a height. And we want to do, well, first of all, let's just, hold on. Let's just put that border back in here. And so you can see border. And then we'll do 3 pixels, solid, red. So red border. So that's what we're looking at right there. So we want to increase the height to 200 pixels. So let's see. And right now, the height is only going as basically as tall as the lettering is here. So we want to make it even higher. So height, 200 pixels. And let's see how that goes. There we go. So it's going to drop it right down there. So that's basically our section. And to go back to index.html, and let's go here. So that's going to be, and let's just save this so we can, there we go. So it makes it nice and pretty. So our section right here is basically that red border box. That's our section there. So now we want to do a couple more things inside the section there. And the first thing we want to do is add a class called title. And we're going to add the class called title into our first div. And that div is going to be right here, right under section. We're going to put a class and we're going to make that called title because that is our title right there. Learn to code for free. Okay, and then let's go into CSS and let's style that. So .title, title, curly brackets. And we only want to do one thing here. We want to do a margin bottom of 20 pixels. So we just want to make a little separation there from that H2 and the P. So we're going to do margin bottom, and then we're going to do 20 pixels. And there you go. That gives a little bit of space. Actually, the space is from the because that div encompasses the H2 and the P tag, so it gives the space between that group and the email and the button. So perfect. That's what we want right there. Okay, the next thing we want to do is go back into our HTML, and we need to add another class to the P tag. So we're going to go into the P tag, which is our mission is to make coding fun and easy to learn. And then in that P tag, we're going to do title underscore P as our class. So let's do class, and let's do title. And let's spell it right, title underscore P. Okay, that's going to be our class right there. And let's go back to our CSS, 2 spaces. I'll bring it up a little bit, and dot title underscore P. And then let's do curly brackets and bring that down there. So what we want to do here, I want to make this fun. Our mission is to make coding fun and easy, and we want to make that italic. So in order to make it italic, we want to do a font. It's called font style. And font dash style, there it is. And then we're going to call that font style italic. And then you'll see it makes it italic right there. It makes it italic right there. Perfect. That's what we want. And then the only other thing, we want to separate these two a little bit. We want to do a margin top of 5 pixels right there. So let's do margin top of 5 pixels. Margin top 5 pixels. And there you go. A little separation right there. That's what we wanted. Excellent. Now let's move on to our form. And what we want here is, I want the Let's Get Started to go underneath enter your email. So we're going to have to add a class to the form right up here. Okay, so let's add a class there. And what we're going to do is we're going to call that CTA underscore form. So call to action form, CTA, and then underscore, and then form. All right. And let's go to style. So we've been using display flex a lot. We're going to do that again too. So, and let's start first, .cta underscore form, and then curly brackets. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do display flex and display flex like that. But this time, instead of it going horizontally, we want it to go vertically like this. So we're going to do display flex and then flex direction, and then we're going to do column. And now they're going to be one on top of each other. You see that flex direction column right there? That's exactly what we want. And then the last, we want to align the items center. So let's align items center. Align items center. Great, it's in the center. Now, one thing you got to realize, if we do flex direction row, which normally it's flex direction row going horizontally across, when you do align item center, it aligns it vertically. But if you reverse it and go display flex flex direction column, that means the align item center is going to be actually in the center, not vertically, but it'd be horizontally. Okay, so right in the middle there. So that's all we want to do for the form. And the next thing we want to do is go to our email. We need to go to our HTML, back to HTML, to add a class to our email. So go to the input, and I'm going to hit return, and I'm going to hit class, and we're just going to call this email. All right. So now we have the class input. We have class email, type ID, name, all that good stuff. Back to CSS, and let's go to, and our class is email, so dot email, and then curly brackets. Great, that's what we want. Okay, so we're going to do a max width here. Max width, and our max width is going to be 275 pixels. That means it's never going to get larger than that. And then we're going to do a width of 100%. So what that means is that it's going to be 100% as large as it can be until it gets to 275 pixels, and then it won't get any larger than that. So it'll grow as large as it can up until 275 pixels, depending on the screen size. And then we want to do one more thing. We want to add padding of 5 pixels. So let's put padding and then 5 pixels on the email. And then you can see how it gives a little bit of space here between enter your email right here. It makes it look better, easier to read. If I get rid of that, you can see again how it goes flush up against there. So 5 pixels, add back in, look back here. There, it makes it a bit easier to read. And that's all we want to do with the email. Okay, the next one we want to do is the button. So let's go back to our index.html and add a class to our button. So button type equals submit, and I'm just going to right after submit space and then class, and we'll call it btn. And then let's go to CSS. Now we have 2 buttons, so let's distinguish this one. So let's use .cta underscore form, and I'm just going to copy that, put it down here, and paste it. And then I'm going to go .btn, so we know it's that section right there, the call to action section. And then curly bracket and return. So here again, we're going to do a max width, just like we did a max width on the email, but we're going to do max width of 150 pixels. So max width 150 pixels. And then we're going to do width 100%. That means it's going to be 100%. Once it gets to 150 pixels, it's not going to go any further than that. So width 100%. There. That's perfect. And now, so we want to do a height of 30 pixels. We want that a little bit higher. So height of 30 pixels. Good. You can see how it got a little bit taller right there. And then we want a margin of 15 pixels from the top and 0 from the side. So it's going to be set. We want it to separate from the email. So we're going to do a margin, and we do 15 pixels from the top and bottom, and then 0 from the sides. There we go. So we got the 15 pixels top and the bottom there. And whoa, what happened here? Let's see. Let's go back there. 15, 0, and then our semicolon. Okay, perfect. That's what we want to do. And next one, we want to make that a little bit stronger. We're going to make this font weight a little bit stronger. Well, quite a bit stronger. And font weight of 900. So font weight of 900, it makes it bold. Average is like 500. Light is like 300, 400, 200. And then bold is font weight of 900. You don't have to put pixels or anything after that. So font weight 900. And then we want to make all this uppercase. So we're going to call it text transform. Text transform. And then we're going to say uppercase. And that'll get everything uppercase there. Let's get started. Okay, great. And then just a couple more things. We want to make that border. I want to make that border blue. We're going to have kind of a blue theme. So the border itself is going to be, the border is going to be solid. And I want to make it blue. There we go, solid and blue. So it stands out like that. And then I want to kind of round off the edges. So we're going to do what's called the border radius. Border radius is nice. If you do 50%, it's like a circle. But border radius, we're going to do 20 pixels here. 20 pixels. See how that gets rounded right there? It looks nice. And the last thing we want to do, we want to color that background. We want to make it yellow. So a background color of yellow. Ooh, yellow. And let's see what that looks like. There we go. Background color of yellow. Excellent. That's exactly what we want. So now that looks a whole lot better. Learn to code for free. Our mission to make coding fun and easy to learn, and then you enter your email here, and let's get started. That's basically the call to action. Now we can take the border off of our call to action there, because we know that's there. And let's see what it looks like without that. There we go. So now you can see without the border, and that's what it's going to look like. So we finished our CTA section. The next one we're going to do is our container, which is going to be down here. And that container is going to have everything in it, including features, demo, and our front end stack. And they're going to link down. Features going to link to features, demo to demo, and front end stack to front end stack. So we're going to have some fun with that next. So next we want to create our container. And we're going to go right down here to the end in index.html. Go to the end of the form and then section that we had that whole group in. And we're going to create a new group, a new section. And let's comment it out like we usually do. And let's see, it's command / we'll comment that out, or less than exclamation point dash. And we're going to call this container. And then a couple more spaces. And this one's going to be just really simple. It's going to be a div. We'll just create a div. And basically this is going to hold the features, demo, and front end stack. It's going to hold everything in there. And it's going to go all the way down until we get to the footer. But the footer is not going to be in here. And then since it's only going to be this, we're going to create a class. And we're going to call the class container. There we go. And then let's go to CSS. And then let us go here and let us create that. Again, let's comment this out. And let's call this container. Now, I think I forgot to add a container here. Not a container, but after our header, I did not. So let's go back after the @media and do 2 spaces, and we're going to do a comment out, and we're going to call that CTA title and form, just so we keep everything the same. CTA title and form, good. And then let's go back down again, and then we have the container. So it's going to be dot container, and then let's do curly bracket. So we're going to do again max width here. Or first, let's do border, and let's do 3 pixels, solid. This is not actually going to be in it, but we want to see what it looks like, solid and red. So it's just going to be a line right now because there's nothing in there. There's nothing there. We could add a height to it, but I'm not going to do that. So let's see. On this one, we're going to do max width. Right now, let's take a look. If we open it up, it goes all the way across, but we don't want that. We want to add a max width to this. So max width would be 1,000 pixels, so it's going to be quite large. And then width would be 100%. So we want it to go as far as it can, 100%, but then when it gets to 1,000 pixels, not any larger than that. And so let's take a look at it here. If we open it up, so you can see from here, from the left side to the right side, This is 1,000 pixels. But what we want to do is we want to center that. So we want to do text align, not text align center. We did that before. We want to do the margin. So margin is another trick to center this. So margin, let's see, margin, we're going to do 0 top and bottom, and then auto left and right, and that will center it. And let's open it up. There we go. It's centered right in the middle. Okay, that's what we wanted. So with the margin 0, 0, with the only two here, 0 means the top and bottom, and auto is left and right. So when you do 0 and auto, it'll center what you need to center. So that's centering our container, and that's the only thing we want to put in the container right now. So we're not going to do any more with the styling, but next we're going to do our features, and I'm looking forward to that because we're actually going to connect. When you click on features, it's going to go right to features down here. And that will be in the part 3 video that you see on the screen. If this has been helpful, please support this channel by giving it a like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Happy coding, my friends!